Hi, this is Steve Stine from guitar-Zoom.com, and I'm going to show you how to play a blues solo with just 3 easy licks. All right, so let me go through this a little bit and break down what we're going to be doing. I'm going to play a little bit of a solo here. Okay, so let's take a look at what I'm doing here. I've got 3 really simple licks here that I'm going to show you, and I'm going to show you how to personalize them to make them more realistic for yourself. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to be up here in C for this first example. So I want you to go to the 8th fret, and everything that I'm doing is coming from the pentatonic or blues scale. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to head up to the 3rd string, 10th fret with our ring finger, and we're going to do a bend, a whole step bend. Okay, whole step meaning a 2-fret bend. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm grabbing on and I'm gripping and turning my wrist like I'm opening a doorknob. I'm turning and I'm lifting that string up in the air. Okay, and I'm bending it a whole step, which for us means 2 frets. So my 10th fret is actually going to sound like my 10th fret. I want to bend it up till I get there. Okay, so that's the first thing I'm going to do is bend that up. Now, normally I would have 3 fingers on this same string helping to bend it up as I'm turning it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to the 8th fret of the 1st and 2nd strings, and I'm going to bar over those with my index finger. Now, the trick to a clean lick here is that I'm using the tip of my index finger to lightly touch the 3rd string. I'm not jutting up into it. I'm just simply laying across the 1st and 2nd strings, and the tip of my index finger is touching the 3rd string. That way, when I do my bend and I leave it, it stops the sound of the string. So I'm not getting like an open sound, okay? So that's the one way to try and keep this lick nice and clean. And then I'm simply plucking through the 3rd string, 2nd string, and 1st string. So once I bend this up, I'm just going to leave it. So I gently take my fingers off, and then I pluck 2 and then 1. So that's going to be my first lick. Now we're going to talk about how to personalize that lick as well. But the first thing for you to get used to is simply picking through it. Now another way to keep yourself safe in terms of noise is to take your right hand and lightly touch the strings up on top here that you're not using, because they might start vibrating as well as you play, and then everything's going to start getting noisy. So you can just lightly touch those. I'm not palm muting, I'm just lightly deadening them, just kind of laying across the guitar. Usually I'm somewhere around the back pickup here when I'm trying to deaden those strings. So I just kind of touch them, and then I'm touching the tip of my finger against that 3rd string. Now again, you could make alternate picking patterns and all sorts of different things, but let's just stay with that for now, okay? Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a pull-off from 11 to 8 on the 2nd string. So I'm going to pluck the 11, I'm pulling off to the 8. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to the 10th fret of the 3rd string with my ring finger. Okay, and then I'm going to head back to the index finger, which is the 8th fret of the 2nd string. So I'm doing that pull off, and then I'm going back. So this is lick number 2. So I have, which is a 3-note grouping at this point. Then I've got this one, which is a 4-note grouping. And then I'm going to end with this lick. This is my 3rd lick. So what I'm doing there is I'm going to the 3rd string, 10th fret with my ring finger. I'm putting the other 2 fingers on there to help bend it up. Again, I'm turning like I'm opening a doorknob. I'm turning, lifting it up a whole step or 2 frets. Then I'm bringing it back down, and then I'm doing a hammer-on from 8 to 9 with my middle finger. And then I'm going to the 10th fret of the 4th string. Okay. Now, any opportunity I get, I use a vibrato on notes when I'm letting things ring out. Tends to make it sound a bit more natural, so I would suggest doing that as well. So I've got lick number 1. Go ahead and play this with me. Okay, so we're going to go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's try that together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, you're learning how to play the lick, but you're also learning how to keep everything sounding really clean. That's the other goal that people don't realize when we're playing is not only what we are doing, but what we're keeping silent in the background. It's really important that we do that. The second lick we have, so we're doing a pull-off from 11 to 8, going to the 10th fret of the 3rd string, then back to the 8. So let's do that together. 1, 2, ready, go. And then our last one's going to go like this. And we're going to change up the rhythms to all of these, okay? I'm going to show you how to personalize these. So we've got, just play it nice and straight for now, okay? So we're bending it up. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay? So now I'm going to put that in action realistically over this lick. So take a look, or over this jam track. Okay? So that works pretty well. The next thing to do, though, whenever you learn how to do things like this, is to try and figure out how to personalize it. And there's really 2 main things that you can do. The first thing to do is to varietize the rhythms that you're playing. So instead of always playing the same rhythm, like here I've got, maybe I'm going to play, I could make all kinds of different rhythms with those. And then the next one, this, I could just play. See, I'm going to keep trying to change up the rhythms, you know, thinking about the rhythm pyramid that I was talking about, how you're going from quarter notes to 8th notes to 16th notes to 32nd notes. You're just doubling the speed each time. I have to choose from those rhythm choices to decide what I'm going to be doing over the top of this. And then the last one, you know, I could pause on this one. You know, there's all kinds of different places that I could put those pauses. So we don't necessarily want all the licks to just roll through each other like this to the very end. We want space. So let me try and show you some rhythmic variation here. Okay? Now, the second thing I can do with any lick that I learn is to figure out how to personalize it by changing up the notes that I'm playing. Okay? So instead of just going like this, you know, one thing I could do would be to double these notes like this. So I'm playing them both at the same time. Another thing I like to do in lick number 2, I'll show you this. I've got, okay, well, let's say I wanted to do that exact same thing, but I'm going to move it up to the 1st string. So I'm changing up the notes. The pattern concept is still the same. So once I learn the pattern, I can still play the pattern. I'm just changing up where I'm doing it. I could do it here. I could do it here. I could do it here. I'm just rolling through the pentatonic. If I know my other positions, I could do it in another position. I could connect them. You know, there's all kinds of neat things that I could do with that. So I'm changing up the rhythms, and then I'm also changing up my note selection. I'm still keeping the pattern concept the same. the way I'm picking it, okay, the movement of the pattern, but where I'm doing it, okay? Same thing here. If I go, you know, maybe I want to go. So now I'm changing up the way I'm doing it, right? I'm still playing the same notes here, but I'm creating repetition, okay? And obviously in the other positions I'm doing this, or the other licks I'm doing the same thing. So if I think about it, when I'm playing these licks, what I'm trying to do is varietize my rhythms by making space in between things in different places, okay? I'm trying to create repetition. As far as the pitches go, I can deviate from the concept to move it around into different places, but still keeping the idea of the pattern the same. That way I can keep using it over and over and over. So let's mess around with that a little bit. Okay? So you see, that's the whole important part, is learning how to play those 3 licks, pasting them in, make them work rhythmically over what you're playing, okay, just like we did in the very beginning, but then you start learning how to personalize things. You start shifting things to make it more of something that feels comfortable to you, either by changing up the rhythms or changing up some of the notes within the structure of the pattern. Okay, so 3 really easy licks to create a blues solo. Please take a look at that. And remember, take your time. When you're watching the video, there's no reason to try and rush through to the end. If there's things in there that you look at and go, wow, I've never really done that before, take your time, watch it over and over and over, and make it become a part of you. That's the greatest way of learning how to do these things, learning how to change up your mentality of playing, is to just take a concept, a small concept, and really do it thoroughly over and over and over, so it really becomes part of your actual playing. So take care, and I'll see you soon. So you see, what I'm doing is simply combining both major and minor pentatonic together. What's really awesome about that is, instead of just getting this minor pentatonic sound every time you play, okay, what we can do is visualize the major notes of pentatonic and the minor notes of pentatonic in the same position, and then still use our traditional blues bends, of course, but so it sounds really cool. It's a great way of jazzing everything up, is instead of playing just major pentatonic and minor pentatonic, learn how to utilize them together. So in my lick here, I'm starting off playing major pentatonic by playing the 5th and 7th frets of the 2nd string, and I'm doing it as a hammer-on. And then I'm doing the 5th and 8th frets of the 1st string, which would be minor pentatonic. And I'm picking those. Now, for me, I alternate pick those, but honestly, it wouldn't make any difference. It's going to depend on the speed and the rhythm that you give it. Right now, I'm giving it sort of a triplet feel. You know what I mean? But if it was slower, I might downpick them all. You just have to keep in mind, as we keep learning all of these different licks, you may have to shuffle some of the concepts, some of the, in the beginning of this course, we were talking about, alternate picking and hammer-ons and pull-offs and all that sort of thing. The most important thing about any of this is you have to remember that you have to think on a realistic level, because you're coming from somewhere and you're going to somewhere else. So this is a transition in between there. So, whether or not you'd be starting on this finger or on, this down picking or whatever it might be, those all might change. And of course, we'll talk about that as this course keeps going on and we start adding some of those licks together. So here it is again. I'm going from 5 to 7 as a hammer-on, and then I'm going 5 to 8. I'm picking those. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to head back to the 7th fret of the 2nd string. See, just that right there Sounds pretty cool. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to head back to the first string, 5th fret. And then I'm going to end it with a minor bend, one of the bends we talked about earlier. Okay? And remember that bend that you're doing on the 2nd string right there, you're bending it up a whole step, which means it's actually technically becoming an A. It's becoming the same note as this. It's becoming that same note, which means if you're in the key of A and you end on that bend, you're ending on the pitch A, which works great melodically as well. Okay? So what I like to do is take those ideas and I start visualizing on my fretboard. I visualize minor pentatonic, and I visualize major pentatonic, so you see, and again, you don't need to worry about playing this part right now, but I just want you to see what I'm doing here. So if I play major pentatonic, and I play minor pentatonic, the true goal for me is to be able to see those two things, like right now when I look at my guitar, to be able to see those things at the same time. So I can pick and choose. And there's already so many different ways that I could encompass these notes. See what I mean? So that's what we're looking for in this lick, is to try and get used to being able to move, A, play it as a lick, but then B, really truly see how it's using major and minor pentatonic together at the same time.